From news and views, issues and opportunities, we'll have in-depth conversations with decision makers to find out what they know and what they think. I'm Rico Hizon, inviting you to join the exchange because your business is our business. 5.3 trillion pesos. The Marcos administration needs this amount next year to run the country and deliver services, hoping this would get better amid a raging pandemic. Are lawmakers up to speed in approving a national budget aimed at jumpstarting economic recovery? The food industry is losing out on the tight sugar supply. President and Agriculture Secretary Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says importation is needed at the moment, and an insurance provider wants more Filipinos to gain access to its services through digitalization. The vision of financial protection in our sweet vision. The Budget Department will submit to Congress the proposed National Expenditure Program for 2023. What can our kababayans look forward to in terms of government spending to address pressing national concerns? Let's now have an exchange with Representative and House Appropriations Committee Senior Vice Chairperson Stella Kimbo. Kong Stella, thank you so much for joining us. Share with us a quick walkthrough of the budget process. When the government submits it, what happens next?
So the DBM will be submitting the budget on Monday, so that's August 22. And shortly after that, beginning August 26, we will be having our budget briefings. And all of these briefings will be at the committee level. So from August 26, beginning with the DBCC budget briefing, all the other agencies will be scheduled to do a similar briefing at the committee level all the way down to September 16. And then after that, September 21, we are set to begin plenary debates. And hopefully by September 30, we would have approved the budget on third reading.
And of course, after third reading, both houses still have to meet, no? When must that be approved? And when does the president really have to sign the budget? So
this is one measure which the Senate has to wait for Congress to approve it first before they begin their own debates on the floor. So we will have to transmit our approved version to the Senate. They will deliberate on that. They will approve their own version, and most likely our versions will be different. And so we will have to come together at a bicameral meeting to iron out those differences. And then by law, we should be able to approve the budget by the end of the fiscal year. Otherwise, the budget will be reenacted. And obviously, we don't want that to happen. A reenacted budget is bad news because it's obviously going to be smaller, and at the same time, new projects, new activities will not be funded. And of course, that's bad news considering that we have a new administration, and clearly we want to support the 8-point socioeconomic agenda of the new administration.
Kong Stella, we asked our kababayans which department they believe should receive the biggest budgets.
Ay, yung dalawang department na may karadangan pondo is yung same, yung para sa akin yung DOH tsaka yung sa DepEd. DOH dahil nga again, we're still living in the pandemic.
DepEd and I think DPWH then needs more attention. Especially ngayon na start natin bumalik ulit yung economy, so most bumabalik na sa school, face to face na uli, pati sa offices.
You heard our kababayans, Kong Stella, DOH, DepEd, and DPWH. Which departments would usually receive the highest allocation?
Well, by the Constitution, the DepEd must be receiving the highest allocation. And then, of course, based on the pronouncements of our president, it will likely be an economic recovery budget. So, and they have already made pronouncements about, for example, having an expanded build program. And then obviously, considering that we still have a pandemic, the DOH budget will obviously be a priority as well. But again, Rico will have to wait for Monday to see exactly what the proposed allocations would be.
From past experiences with the budget allocations, Kong Stella, are there specific programs and projects given exact budgets, even to the final centavo?
Well, that's normally how it is. But it's typically rounded off to the nearest peso, hindi naman centavo. But yes, they tend to be very specific numbers. These have all been proposed by the individual agencies and then all consolidated by the DBM before they submit it to Congress.
Lawmakers really work hard, no, to give the various departments the budgets that they need. But, and this comes, of course, from our kababayans' taxes. But there are also alleged corruption issues, Kong Stella, all the time, from DOH, DepEd, and DPWH on overpriced contracts. How can this be stopped?
Well, of course, there are various committees in Congress and the Senate to look into these matters. But at this point in time, obviously, while we review the budget, of course, one of the very important documents that we need to look at would be the COA reports. So obviously, we will have to see whether there are issues, particularly in certain programs, and whether those programs need to be discontinued or not. These are things that obviously the Congress can make amendments on. They can, for example, if we find out that there are problematic programs, for example, resulting from COA findings, well, we can weigh in, obviously. We have the power of the purse, and we can amend the budget proposal.
And of course, in the past years has also been underspending. How do departments and agencies prevent this kind of activity from happening?
Well, yes, Rico, that is a perennial problem. The ability to absorb funds is obviously an issue year in, year out. And that is always the typical starting point when Congress comes in. We first look at how agencies are able to utilize their current budget. And obviously, if their current utilization rate is low, then we can obviously recommend to cut those budgets and reallocate the excess to programs which we feel need greater priority or attention.
Thank you so much for this National Budget Exchange. House Appropriations Committee Senior Vice Chairperson, Congresswoman Stella Quimbo. And now here's a rundown of this week's top business stories. The Bangko Sentral hikes interest rates by 0.5% in another bid to control rising consumer prices. The central bank also raised its inflation forecast to 5.4% from 5% this year. Almost 20 million Filipinos live in poverty based on 2021 government data, with the poverty rate hitting 18.1%. The number swelled from 2018, where there were 17.67 million poor Filipinos. And Burger King Philippines says the onion shortage has hit its operations, impacting the Whopper and other flame-grilled burgers. And we'll take the short break, and when we come back on The Exchange, where your business is our business, consumers, manufacturers, and restaurants are feeling a supply shortfall of certain produce. The Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food explains what's next. And how can insurance become more accessible? We find out from PruLife UK's push to digitalize its services. Keep it right here on CNN Philippines. News you can trust. Welcome back. You're watching The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. From sugar to onions, at the root of rising prices and shortage of these produce are issues on importation. Let's now have an exchange with Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food President Danilo Fausto. Mr. Fausto, thank you so much for joining us. The sugar importation issue has been front and center over the past 2 weeks. Do we really need to import sugar from overseas?
As a general rule, Rico, if it is harvest time, there should be no importation because these crops are seasonal, no? We need really post-harvest facilities to warehouse this harvest. And if you bring in importation, which are cheap, if our basis of our food sufficiency is import because it is cheap,
So,
then
Mr.
we should
Fausto,
forget,
Mr. Fausto,
agricultural production.
Mr. Fausto, when is
Yes.
harvest time then for sugar?
They have been harvesting since last week. They started harvesting since last week. What we're saying is that we still have a stock for sugar. And if after the harvest, this harvest starts, we feel that it will not be sufficient, then that's the time we think of importation. And we will go to the desire of the president to import sometime in October. And we will see first this August and September if the processing, the milling and the refinery will be able to augment what is existing stock now. This is just a what you call the artificial shortage, and some people are making a lot of money. That's why we are happy that raids of warehouses are being done. This will also go through with onions. We have to see the cold storage facilities, not only onions, cold storage facilities for meat products, so that we can find out if what is the real stock and inventory of our food.
You mentioned, Mr. Fausto, about hoarding, no? There were 2 warehouses that were raided over the past 2 days. What must be done to crack down on these cartels and hoarders?
We would like to suggest to Congress to put a steep penalty and punishment for these people that are conducting hoarding, because this is economic sabotage, depriving of our people of food that is needed and bringing down prices. It is not fair because when you harvest these crops and it's only at a very cheap price, and yet if you harvest, for example, onions, last April it's only selling at 35 pesos a kilo. Why are they selling it at 290, 300 pesos a kilo? That's preposterous because a lot of people are making money by just putting it in the warehouse. They did not even participate in the production. And these traders will just be benefiting from the hardship that is being done by the farmers.
Mr. Fausto, we asked one sugar retailer what impact the sugar issue has had on his sales.
Epekto po namin sa pagtitinda po ng asukal. Minsan nahihirapan kami po sa pagbili ng asukal dahil sa sobrang mahal. At saka minsan, pag may bumibili sa amin, minsan kami pang namura. Bakit daw mahal ang asukal? Dahil naman po, hindi naman po kami sa presyo namin kasi konti lang din naman tinutubo sa asukal.
Mr. Fausto, you mentioned earlier about the traders. Some sugar groups are saying there's a lot of profiteering right now among them. They say traders buy their sugar at 45 pesos per kilo. You mentioned 35 pesos per kilo, but the retail price of refined sugar now sells at more than 100 per kilo. And some have even soared to 290. What must be done with these traders?
That's the onions.
Yes, what
That's
must
for
be,
the onions.
Yeah, for the sugar,
you buy
100
it at
pesos per
35,
kilo.
40 pesos.
Yeah.
For the sugar, you buy it at 45 pesos at the farm, refinery, and then you sell it for 100. Can you imagine the profit of the wholesalers, the traders? It is not the retailers that is affected because they're just relying on the supply of the wholesalers.
So what must be done, Mr. Fausto, about these traders who are profiteering?
Well, profit is a function of business, but profiting too much, I think, is unacceptable. You know, you can just profit at for a certain manageable level, but to really deprive people because of your greed for profit, deprive people of food, that is, I think, that should be punished. This is economic sabotage for us.
And it's not only sugar and onions. Which other agricultural produce do we also have a shortage of?
Well, altogether, because of the neglect and low priority given to agriculture by our government, really the production level has really gone down. Now that the president is the secretary, we are hopeful that this will change. as I said, if the basis of our decision is cheap products, especially imports, then we should stop altogether our agricultural production and let 12 billion farmers starve and lose their employment. So we need to do this on a fair manner. Let's wait for the development, and priority now is being given in agriculture. We're hopeful that this will be a boost and be able to attain sufficiency level in a few years, and we will go back to our feet again and be able to supply the food requirements of our country.
And how soon will we have a stabilization in our agricultural produce?
I would say about 2 or 3 years. For chicken, we are seeing about the first quarter of 2024, and hopefully for the others, if we were able to recover on rice and be able to give them good varieties. Also in sugar, the problem there is irrigation, soil fertilization, which is fertilizer, which is very expensive, and also high variety kind of seedlings, so that be able to increase our yield. That goes too with corn, that goes too with rice, all the crops. We need these ingredients to be able to increase our productivity in the soil.
Thank you so much for this food security exchange, Philippine Chamber for Agriculture and Food President Danilo Fausto. And more to come on the exchange, where your business is our business. An insurance company wants to make financial security more accessible to Filipinos through the digital platform. We find out more from PruLife UK next on CNN Philippines. News you can trust. Glad you're staying with us right here on the exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Although the pandemic made Filipinos more interested in getting protection, there is still a considerable gap to fill. That's why leading life insurance company PruLife UK is making efforts to give easy access to their products by making it available in digital platforms. Let's now have an exchange with PruLife UK General Manager and Chief Commercial Officer, Gilbert Simpao. Gilbert, thank you so much for joining us on the exchange. Share with us, what is the current insurance penetration rate in the country?
Thank you, Rico. It's great to be here. Let me answer that question in two ways. There's about 112 million Filipinos right now, and according to the Insurance Commission, about 45 million are covered with policies right now. But 36 million of that is group, so about 9 million individual, variable linked, ordinary, personal accident insurance. But there's also a lot of double counting there because some people have more than one policies. So if you ask me, my estimate is about maybe 7 to 8 out of every 10 Filipino are not properly covered by life insurance or any other protection instruments. So there really is a big gap right now. And this is something that we in PruLife really want to cover, because we believe that every Filipino should have the right for financial security and should have protection coverage.
Wow, that's a lot, no? 70 to 80%. Why the low insurance penetration rate, Gilbert?
Well, a couple of things. One is, traditionally, insurance products were not affordable for most Filipinos. We had a very different business model in the past of selling to agents, and, selling low-cost policies was not, very incentivized by most agents. So it was seen as expensive, but we've corrected that right now, because with the new digital distribution model, we can come up with policies that are really affordable for almost every Filipino. And then second is education. Most Filipinos just are not financially aware, and they're not aware as well that they are affordable solutions out there, so they don't prioritize this as a need. So we have to do much better in terms of educating Filipinos that they need insurance, and then second, making them aware that it's not expensive, that you can get covered by as low as, let's say, 50 pesos. That it's not, going to be a big financial burden for them, but it's going to offer a huge peace of mind knowing that them and their families are protected.
So Gilbert, 50 pesos, that's very affordable, no, for an insurance cover. What are the various types of products available with PruLife UK?
Okay, I'm going to focus on the digital products since we're talking about financial inclusion. So one product I want to highlight is a very recent launch we did with GCash. GCash is the leading mobile wallet in the Philippines with 60 million users. They have a platform called G-Insure where you can easily buy insurance through your GCash load. And we just launched a product 2 weeks ago. We called it True Personal Accident Junior. And, it's for kids. Normally you cover yourself, but we forget about our kids. And our kids are going back to school right now. They're going to face-to-face classes, and they need protection. What if they get into an accident, diba? So for as little as 50 pesos, you can make sure your kids are covered. Up to 100,000 pesos for any personal accident. So that one we're very proud of. We partnered with GCash to launch that a couple of weeks ago. We also partnered with another digital giant. You're familiar with Shopee. So, right now, rainy season, it's the dengue season. We launched 2 products in Shopee. It's a voucher for dengue coverage. We call it Pru Dengue Medcare. Again, for as little as 200 pesos, you can cover yourself. If you get dengue, you can get a payout immediately if you get diagnosed with dengue. And you can buy these vouchers in Shopee and redeem that in our app called Pulse. So again, making it very easy and affordable to buy protection and insurance products through Shopee, through GCash, and more partners moving forward without the need to talk to a financial advisor.
So Gilbert, what is the next step for digitalization, and how can they get more information about your insurance products?
Well, we want to launch more of our products in the digital marketplace. So we have products that cover cancer. We have products that cover all family types. For example, we just launched a product called FamLove. Basically, the idea is you buy one policy, but it covers up to 4 family members, not as beneficiaries, but covered, insured. So, and this is for all types of families. It's very inclusive. You can cover your parents, your children, or even if you have like a non-traditional arrangement, like for LGBTQ members of the society, and even for adopted people. And of course, more products through GCash, through Shopee, through Pulse, and through any other digital partners out there. The goal is 112 million Filipinos. We want to make it easy and affordable for everyone to be able to to buy insurance, and we want to make sure everyone is covered and can really have financial freedom and make sure that they're worry free.
So Gilbert, by going digital and offering affordable insurance products, will this really increase the insurance penetration rate in the Philippines?
Yes, I'm confident of this. I think we are at the, how do I say this, at the cusp of, an inflection point in the industry. I've seen this happen in a couple of other industries, how sachets have changed, how personal care products are distributed, and how prepaid, for example, have changed telco. It made these products available and affordable to all Filipinos. I think, we are at that point where we can get financial inclusion, financial products available to every Filipino, which was not the case just a few years ago because of digitalization. It was very difficult to get our products sold. You can't put it in a sari-sari store, for example, like you put a sachet. But, with apps like GCash, Shopee, and even Pulse, and even through our Proof Shop website, I think this is going to be the key in terms of unlocking financial inclusion for 100 plus million Filipinos, in the same way that sachets and prepaid had changed it for other industries.
Thank you so much for this life insurance exchange. Pru Life UK General Manager and Chief Commercial Officer, Gilbert Simpao. And this is the exchange to make sense of the facts and the figures and the ups and downs of the business cycle, because your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Thanks for watching CNN Philippines. News you can use, news you can trust.